Hey everybody, it's Dr. Letitia, aka America's favorite therapist and the therapist in your head. How are you all? I have missed this audience so much. Happy 2022. I am so excited to be back with my web show, Coffee and Conversations, and I have an amazing guest, a guest that I've been trying to get on the show for quite a while. So I am so glad that she is able to grace us with her presence today. Let me read her bio and then we will bring her right on in. Elise I, Antoine, holds a bachelor's and master's degrees in social work, and she's been a social worker for 16 years. She is a life coach and the CEO of Legacy in the Making. Elise is a woman of God, a mental health advocate, and the founder of Rip The Stigma, which is a nonprofit organization that encourages individuals with mental health challenges to speak up and share their stories. Elise has survived 2 suicide attempts. She survived sexual abuse, self-mutilation, and an eating disorder. Through her life experience, her goal is to transform her clients' lives by helping them discover their inner confidence, purpose, and motivate them to build a legacy. Please join me in welcoming Elise I, Antoine to Coffee and Conversations.
Hello, hello,
Hi,
hello.
hi, happy 2022.
Happy 2022 to you as well.
It is so awesome to see you. Your bio was just outstanding. The audience doesn't know you quite yet, but I know you. I am
Yes.
just so pleased that you are here. A little fun fact, everyone, is that Elise and I actually went to the same high school together. Who knew we would both become social workers and share so many similar stories? We've reconnected in adulthood based on the work we do, and here we are. So, Elise, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this. It's an honor and pleasure, and who would know?
Oh, exactly. Look at us now, right? Two girls
Yeah.
from Roselle. Look at us now. So, Elise, let's jump right in. I read your bio to the audience, so they're a little bit more familiarized with who you are. But
Mhm.
you have been doing this work for 16 years. Tell me, what drew you to the field of social work?
Okay, what really drew me in, I knew I had a gift. I felt that people automatically just attached to me. They would open up with their problems, and I just seemed to always knew like a solution. I felt like I was a young soul, and that was one of the things that I knew I had a gift. But I had a friend that was in an abusive situation. I felt like I was always trying to help her, and when she kept going back, it truly wanted me to dig in deeper. So I had the opportunity when I wanted to go into social work to actually do my first internship with the YWCA, and I did a paper on my experience, and that's when I knew like this is for me.
This is it. This is it. So you were called. You were
Yes.
absolutely called. One thing I love about you, Elise, and we actually reconnected a few years ago on Facebook because I saw all that you were doing with your nonprofit organization, Rip the Stigma.
Yeah.
Please tell us where you got that dope name from, why you do the work that you do with Rip the Stigma, and just give us a little overview about the work you do with your nonprofit.
Okay, so I definitely was at a point where I was at my job, and all the social workers were going to be let go because the grant wasn't renewed.
Oh
So,
wow.
you
Okay.
know how that might work with a nonprofit organization. And I just kept on thinking, like, what should I do best? And as I was at work, I felt like the spirit of God was speaking to me, and He was like, I want you to start a nonprofit. I didn't tell anybody, but I was dealing with my own depression and anxiety at the time, but it was such a secret. I was living a double life because I was like, trying to pretend I was okay, but I really wasn't, and I didn't understand it. So I got the name and I started thinking. I said, well, I mean, I'm gonna lose this job in about a few months, so this is an opportunity to start. But I was like, okay, I could help people. But then when God was like, I had to share my story, that really scared me because that was the secret that I was hiding. I didn't want anybody to know. The social worker that's always helping people and being there for people didn't know how to ask for help. And just being from a background of being Haitian, it's just a little taboo. So I didn't know where to start. And that was the beginning. Starting my nonprofit organization helped me to also confront my own mental health.
Mhm. Wow, you said a mouthful there. And it's like so much, it's so rich. So I'm going to pull it apart bit by bit. So I think first things first, those of us in the helping professions, those of us that do this work, it is so important that we recognize how, just integral it is for us to take care of ourselves, right? There are
Absolutely.
expectations that our clients have on us, that our families have on us, that society has on us, that, hey, because you selected to do this work, you're always okay. You don't
Right.
need anything, right? Like you know what to do, or that you can like almost therapize yourself, right? You
Right.
know what works. No, we are human beings as well. I have had to tell so many people, even throughout the pandemic, we have served the entire pandemic, but we were going through it too.
Right.
Right? It's a reminder that yes, we were chosen to do this work, or we selected to do this work, but we sometimes also need to lie on our own couch.
Right.
Sometimes we need to be able to also bolster others by telling our own stories of redemption, our own stories of moving on from things like anxiety and depression, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Like it's so real.
Mhm.
Those of us who are educated and knowledgeable and have experience in this field, are still not exempt.
Not at all.
So, in your story, at least you talk so liberally about suicide attempts and about eating disorders and self mutilation. What do you think was the moment when you realized I need to change my life because these thoughts, these feelings are starting to take me to a place that I may not come out of?
That was a heavy point because I think I was struggling, and I hope this can help someone. There is a difference when you know something is going on and when you don't want to accept it. I
Mm,
just didn't understand why I was depressed. I didn't know what was going on. Like, I kind of detached myself because I'm naturally happily
yeah,
bubbly. My
yeah.
personality is very open and relaxed. So it didn't match with me, and I just didn't know what was going on. And so, therefore, I felt like I was in denial, and
Mm,
I did a lot of suppressing, which was very damaging because I was so into pleasing and
yes.
acting and pretending and making everybody feel like I was okay. And I fooled a lot of people, including my family, and we're very close. That was the thing that I just learned to just ignore and not deal with it and just act like I'm okay because I was so focused into serving others that I just put myself last.
Mhm.
It burned me out. I found I the help that I needed is when I was hospitalized.
Okay.
That's when I was like, okay, this is it. And my family had to have like an intervention. My family like to have family meeting, and they didn't know what was going on. And that's when my mom said something that was very important. I don't know why it just touched me. She was like, Elise, I think you don't love yourself. And it
Wow.
just I was like, well, of course I love myself. And
Mhm.
she said, well, if you're trying to kill yourself, then you don't love yourself. And
Mm,
that's when I found out that I didn't love myself, that there was
mhm.
something inside. And with the suicidal attempts, people don't understand. And that's why I do a lot of suicide prevention, a lot of talks. I don't talk just to talk, but I do it to help. And a lot of people reach out to me. It's just that I was trying to kill the pain that was
Mhm.
inside me,
Yes.
and I felt like I was a burden to my family. So you will feel like you're a problem. And I thought eliminating myself will help lessen the burden. But it was actually the opposite because then I would end up hurting myself, hurting my family, and the loved ones around me. So when you're in a dark place, there's a tunnel vision where you
Yes.
can't see left or right. It could be a very lonely place. So I had to go through that to learn how to love me where I'm at and to gradually accept that, okay, this is part of me, but this is not my whole life,
Mhm.
and how I can get help. And, therapy, social workers need to see a therapist as well, and to see our life coach, and to make sure we're investing. And that's the investment that I needed to take. And even though I fell back, I got back up but there wasn't that shame hanging over me that I was okay, that I'm going to break the generational um, cycle of thinking that in order to go to therapy, you got to be crazy or whatever it is. I needed help. So I was going to do whatever I need to do to get the help that I needed and to see and put myself first.
If you are listening to this show and you are having suicidal thoughts, if you're listening to this show and you are not in a good place with your own self identity or your own feelings about yourself, please, please, please reach out for help. Reach
Absolutely.
out for help. You are not alone. I think your story is so important and so impactful because you said something that I want to jump on. Most people are just trying to kill the pain. They're
Yes.
trying to numb the pain. They're
Yes.
trying to run away from the pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
You also talked about being in denial. And we know, that until we're able to really see an issue for what it is, we will stay in the same space. We'll stay in the same place. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's so important for you to be able to just share all that you were facing and to be able to tell the listeners what it felt like, because I think that especially in our communities, right? Communities of color, Black communities. I use the word Black because I'm like, listen, it doesn't matter where in the diaspora
It
you are
really
from.
doesn't.
We are
Mm-hmm.
one people. But sometimes it's just like that Superman or Superwoman,
Yes.
complex that like we have to be strong or we have to be okay. Our people have gone through so much that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when we're facing our own problems or our own issues, it's so easy to kind of push them under the rug.
Right.
We have to start bringing these issues to the forefront. And you touched on something, Elise. You talked about putting yourself first. And I'm sure you see it with your clients, with your
Mm-hmm.
students, and with your life coach colleagues. And I see it with colleagues of mine, with clients of mine, with students of mine, that notion that putting yourself first is okay.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's like so much resistance towards
Yes.
that. Why do you think that is? Where do you think that comes from?
I had to think about that for myself, and I really have to think about it plays a role in your upbringing. And
Mhm.
as an adult, you have to unlearn things that you've learned that you thought was culturally accepted. For me,
Yes.
I grew up, I didn't know how to rest. I learned how to rest as an adult. I think I'm mastering resting right now. Is
Mhm.
that learning to I had to wake up early. I couldn't stay in bed. And as a woman, and just being a woman in a Haitian family, I was the only girl. I had to learn how to cook. I had to learn how to clean. And it was just like staying in bed was just like you're lazy. So I turned into a workaholic, and I put all
Mm,
my things, working 3 jobs and work, burning myself out, not being able to pay attention to things. All I knew was how to serve. But
mm,
all I know is how to be a driver, but I didn't know how to be a passenger and allow
mhm,
people to help me. I struggled so much with asking for help. And then God had to deal with me because he's like, what, I need you to sit down. He
mm,
removed certain things and he put me in a place where I had no choice but to ask people for help. That I think that was one of the reasons when I didn't have a car, I had to like kind of depend on other. And it was very uncomfortable, but it was a very life changing experience. What's wrong with asking for help? What does that mean? What does it take away from you? Absolutely
nothing,
nothing.
nothing, nothing.
Absolutely. It's that pride and that shame, and it's surrounded by a little bit of ego that I had to work through in order to get to. I'm always helping others. Why can't I let people help me?
That's right. Hold on, because that's a word right there. That is a word because you did the opposite of some of the things we see on social media. It's a new year, so you see memes like, okay, I'm all gas, no brakes. No,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need to be no gas, all brakes.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Sometimes, like you mentioned, there's a book, Dr. Sandra Dalton, I believe, is the
Mm-hmm.
author, and it's called Sacred Rest. And she
Mm-hmm.
talks about the 7 types of rest and the importance of rest.
Mm-hmm.
We sometimes feel that we're above. So that's why I love that you brought up ego. Sometimes we feel like, okay, yes, life is about a village as long as you're not the one in need, as long as you're the one giving, right?
Yes.
I love what you said about constantly being a driver, but needing to learn how to be a passenger, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because I say something similar, Elise, and I say, you know what? We're all in the same boat. Sometimes we're rowing.
Yes.
Sometimes we're laying in a galley.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're on the belly of the boat, taking in the rays, but we're all in the boat. We just switch positions.
Switch positions.
right? And
Yes.
we have to be okay with that. We have to
Okay. Normalize it. Yeah.
normalize receiving that help, recognizing that the only way, we can make it is if we activate those villages. There's an African proverb, the European viewpoint is, I think, therefore I am.
Yeah.
And that's great for things where you have to stand on your own and you have to experience things, from a solo perspective. But what I connect with is the African proverb, and that, Elise, is, I am because we are.
Yes. I like that.
What does that speak to you as you think about where you've come from, where you are now, and what you're offering the world? We are, I am, you are, because we are. What does that speak to your soul?
To me, it really speaks that I'm not alone, and I don't have to really be the one carrying things on my back. I mean, I'm not Jesus. I can't carry all the burden. I need help, and it takes an effort of others. Even a new mom, when people step in to help, it's such a great help. So that means that I can't always think that I'm going to be able to do it. It's okay that we work as a team, that we work together, that
That's right.
I'm going to have some days that I'm just going to have to lean over on you. And there are going to be some days that you got to lean over on me. Hey sis, can you keep me in prayer? I don't got to go into all that, but it's just like there are moments when we're going to have some down days, and it's okay, so we could tap into our tribe and our support to just be like, I don't feel alone, and I have support, and it's okay to tap into your support, and you can still feel like your own individual self.
That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh, Elise, let me tell you something. You are dropping so many gems today. You really are. I so appreciate this conversation because it's transparent. And
Yeah.
I think it's that authenticity that's sometimes missing in our lives.
Right.
In your work as a life coach, how do you help people recognize their own internal voice so that they can be their authentic self?
One thing that I noticed that we talked a little bit about it, but I noticed that many struggle with self-love, so that's at the forefront. I mean,
Yes.
I ask questions and I try to find out where are they at, and a lot you find that they struggle with loving themselves. So sometimes I gradually see where they are, and then we practice and we do different things. Like I might give a little assignments just so they could work on, if it's just working on I statements in order to say no, to put up some boundaries. And also, one thing I love to do is have them look in the mirror and say, I love you every day. Those are
Mm,
depositing seeds of life into yourself,
that's
to join in the part of healing, because healing is the goal at the end of the day.
that's right.
And so, and it's a safe place where my clients can speak, and and I see them for themselves, but I see hope, and the hope that they do not have. I like to see them as time as it builds their confidence build. So it's rewarding within itself, but it's just a process that when we go through, okay, it's been this amount of time. How do
Yes.
you think you're doing? And you ask them, and then you can just see, and then but then you just want them to speak it out loud so you can see. It's a process, and it takes time, and it takes patience. There is no fix me up button. It's, do you want the help? Because that's another thing. You can't force anyone, but do you want the help? And if you, I'm going to be there by your side, but then it's up to you if you want to do it. And I believe in you. Now, do you believe in you too?
That's right. That's right. It's about the journey. It's not
The
about the
journey.
destination,
Yeah.
right? I think that when people go to life coaches or they go to therapists, they
Hmm.
go to counselors, it's all about, okay, I recognize my problem. This is what's going on. Okay, how do I fix it? How do I get over it? How do I get past it? And it's like, hold on, let's pump some brakes here.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is a journey, right?
Hmm.
Rome wasn't built in a day, and you
No.
didn't get all of these maladaptive behaviors in a day either, right?
Hmm.
It's going to take some time to really understand why you think the way that you do, what your environment was like, how to
Mhm.
change the thoughts, how to change the behaviors, how to change the attitudes, how to even change the expectations, you
Right.
know? Even with, you spoke so eloquently, Elise, about self-worth and love. And one thing I say to people all the time is that there's a difference between self-esteem and
Mhm.
self-worth. See,
Yeah.
self-esteem is based on a particular activity. So you can be great as a therapist or great as a professor or great as an author or great as a teacher and feel good about what you're able to do. Self-worth is about who you are. See,
Yes.
and we live in a society where it's all about the external things. It's about what
Mhm.
you have, what you drive, where you live,
Yes.
the type of title you are. People want to know what you do to decide how much respect they should give you when they address you. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
Right? So we live
Mhm.
in a society where it's all about the things that may bring self-esteem. But self-worth is just diminished more and more because people are focused on those external markers of success. They're not
Right.
focused on the fact that being a person of integrity, having a
Mhm.
strong character, doing what you say, being impeccable with your word,
Right.
helping others freely, showing love,
Mhm.
those things help boost your self-worth. And
Right.
that's what's really important in the long run. What do you think
Right.
about that?
I think that you're absolutely right. And like I said, there are things that are programmed in our minds that we think, and they're like false beliefs. But if you truly take the time to really um, assess our emotions and our feelings and where we're at, if we focus on the internal things, that's when we truly start. If you don't love yourself, if you don't start working and investing in yourself, how are you going to be able to be there for other people? How are you going to be able to show up effectively? And I talk about reality because some of us are in a borderline of when we're doing things to please others and we're losing ourselves and forgetting who we are in the process, where we need to find ourselves and have our name. Like, you could be married and still have your own identity, but be a wife or a husband, but you don't have to lose all of that too in order. And that we lose ourselves so often that we need to find ourselves back. And I just think that it's a process, but it's something that I'm big on saying is that we have to get back to loving ourselves. We have to get back to putting each other's first. I may sound like a broken record. We have to put up those boundaries and maintain them. It's so important because people are not always going to respect us. But if we tell people how we want to be treated, it will be different.
That's right. That's right. Elise, thank you so, so, so much. This is part one because I'm going to have to bring you back, girl. You were just dropping gem after gem after gem. I am so grateful for you, and I'm just
I
so
am
grateful for the
too.
work that you do. Please
Thank
keep
you.
going. Please keep sharing your story. Keep
Thank
just
you.
raising your voice unabashedly. Like
Mhm.
it is helpful to so many people that you know and people you don't know. So
Right.
I honor you and I'm so grateful to have you as a guest. Please tell everyone how they can get in touch with you if they want life coaching, how they can get connected with Rip the Stigma. How can people reach you?
Okay, so I use my social media platform really for a piece of encouragement. I'm on social media on Instagram. I'm at Elise I, Antoine, and my mental health page is there for you to get resources and things and motivation at Rip the Stigma. On IG as well. If you're interested in any life coaching, you can visit me at www.eliseiantoine.com, and you can definitely click and get some information. Dr. Letitia, I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be here, and it was definitely fun. I can't wait to join in again so I can definitely just motivate my therapists and entrepreneurs that it's not about how many likes you get or how many people notice. Just being consistent and believing in yourself,
That's
you'll
right.
get to where you want to go.
That's right. Thank you so much. We're definitely going to do part two. Thank you, Elise. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. Thank you so much, everyone. And stay tuned for the next episode of Coffees and Conversations.